Good evening, I'm Faye Barker. This is ITV News London. There was chaos around London Bridge today as Extinction Rebellion protesters took their action to another of the capital's busy crossings. A vintage bus was parked up across the junction, blocking access to the bridge. Well, tonight, police removed the protesters and the bus, making 43 arrests. As part of 2 weeks of action by the demonstrators, Sam Holder was at today's protests.
They've used a big pink boat before, but this time it was an antique green bus. Extinction Rebellion once again bringing parts of central London to a standstill. This was an hour into the protest.
The junction here on Borough High Street is completely blocked, cutting off access to 3 different roads. No cars in or out. And on London Bridge, a long queue of buses.
Police attempted to remove those on board as quickly as possible. Protesters at the scene who gave me this footage said they believed the police were too forceful. The police told us specially trained officers were working to safely remove those on board. A window was broken, apparently during the scuffle. One protester glued themselves to a different one. I spoke to Ash, who was on the roof, at this point for more than an hour. He told me he was worried about what would happen when the police decided to get him down. It's been a battle of wits between police and protesters over the past 9 days. Round Borough High Street, clearly going to the protesters. But over the bank holiday, the police seemed a step ahead, managing to bring down this blockade before it was even up. Earlier today, there was a pram protest in Westminster, highlighting the risk climate change is posing to children. For some, the emotion was overwhelming.
It makes me really cross because I don't know what kind of future my son will have.
Are you sad?
I am sad, darling.
Why are you sad?
Because the people in charge aren't doing anything.
As they marched to Downing Street, there was a brief attempt by protesters to lock together.
Lock on!
Again, the police too quick.
Speak, please! Wake up!
Keep calm.
Tactics all too familiar in the 3rd year of XR protests. But a dozen pram pushers blocking one lane outside Downing Street, relaxed enough to take a spot of lunch, is nowhere near as disruptive as a bus blocking a major bridge. Sam Holder, ITV News.
A 16-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man died from a head injury in Hounslow. Mahmoud Shamsi was found seriously injured on Staines Road almost 2 weeks ago and died in hospital 3 days later. The 16-year-old was arrested on Saturday and has been released on bail. Police have released images of a man they want to speak to after a series of assaults in Stamford Hill earlier this month. In one incident, a man was struck on the head with a bottle. In another, a 14-year-old boy was approached and assaulted. Next to the story of twin brothers who are both struck with COVID but have had very different outcomes. DJ Bobby Lavinia and his brother Steve have worked and played together their whole lives. But when they both caught COVID last year, Steve developed a rare brain condition while Bobby fully recovered. Martin Stew spoke to Bobby about the fundraising plans he now has for his twin.
So here's Stevie. This is our Groove Odyssey night at the Ministry of Sound. A few years ago, and that's me on the deck.
As Kiss FM presenters and club DJs, identical twins Bobby and Steve Lavinia have been at the heart of house music for nearly 40 years.
It's Stevie having his little dance. He'll be back doing that again soon, believe me.
Since they were born 5 minutes apart in 1963, the boys have played together, worked together, and in March last year, caught COVID together. Both were put into induced comas. But whilst Bobby has recovered, a rare brain condition triggered by the virus has left Steve unable to communicate or move.
There's been no improvement in such awareness and responses, but Steve's still there. He hasn't declined in all this time, which gives us all the hope.
Bobby visits him regularly at his nursing home.
But me and Steve, it's a connection that is just way beyond. Do you know what I mean? I just get a vibe off of Steve. Not all the time, but something happens, you know, and even though Steve's not focused on you sometimes, you know, you could be doing something, playing music, and then he will just look at you and you can feel that energy and that vibration. Steve's in there and he just can't communicate right now, but he will do. This is his beautiful wife, Julie, giving him a well-deserved massage.
They now want to bring him home to his wife, Julie.
We want Steve back how Steve was, you know, but just to have him back where he can be Steve at a level will be enough for me. Do you know what I mean? We want him back singing and dancing, yeah. But if he's just singing or he's just dancing, whichever, we'll take either.
Making the house suitable for providing care will cost thousands. So Bobby's called on his musical mates for help. And within hours of deciding to put on a fundraising club night, superstar DJs including David Morales and Trevor Nelson have offered to perform for free.
October the 3rd, the fundraiser Ministry Sound is going to be a very, very, very emotional day. Obviously, we're going to be surrounded by, you know, just people who have come and support Steve, and the love is. But this is what we want. You see, we believe in the energy and the mass people coming together for support of one thing or one person or whatever to give that energy. Yeah, it's going to be major. It really is.
I'm assuming you've told Steve about this in your visits.
100%.
If he was able to communicate with you at the moment, what do you think he'd be saying to you about it?
I think he'll be saying to me, "Well done." Yeah.
Have a good party in his honour.
Yeah, definitely.
Bobby Lavinia there speaking to Martin Stew. Now to the Paralympics and a bronze medal for a South London sprinter at his first Games. Columba Blango finished in style in the T20 400 metres, and as Charanpreet Kara reports, he's following in the footsteps of his dad.
Bronze for Blango. His first Paralympics, a new personal best, and now a medal. With 120 metres to go, Blango, in the white shirt here, was lagging behind.
Blango's got a bit of work to do here.
Seconds to spare, he pushed ahead to win bronze, giving his all when it counted most.
I am so proud of him, and the family is very proud of him.
Columba's dad, also called Columba, was an Olympic decathlete for Sierra Leone, going on to become mayor of Southwark.
I know the feeling of taking part in the Olympic Games. It is the ultimate sporting arena.
For Columba, the road to the stadium hasn't always been smooth. Born with blood clots on his brain, he couldn't speak until he was 6. Since he discovered his love of running, he's supported himself by working at Primark.
His life is difficult, but he's come through. He's an hard worker. He's a battler. He's an hard worker, and that's what got him to the Olympic Stadium.
Here at his club in Mile End, even fellow runners didn't know how talented he was.
Columba's so down to earth, and it's only when the tracks reopened after lockdown that we saw them zooming around at Columba's at the front.
After a year of training in the local park, Columba burst onto the para-athletics scene this summer, winning the T20 400 metres at the European Championships and breaking the European record. While fast feet might run in the family, Columba's always stayed in his own lane.
Columba never had a dream about going to the Olympic. He just wanted to work hard to see how far he can get in the sport. And this year he's become European champion, European record holder, now Olympic bronze medalist.
A big smile under that mask.
That bronze is certainly something to smile about. And with the year he's had, who knows what the future holds? Charanpreet Kara, ITV News.
In tennis, 18-year-old star Emma Raducanu is through to the second round of the US Open. The teenager from Bromley beat her Swiss opponent, Stephanie Vogel, in straight sets. It's her debut in the competition, and the winner's pushed her up more than 30 places in the world rankings. Oh, as it's the last day of August, it really does feel like summer is over, isn't it? So let's see what the weather has in store. Here's Sally.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello there and a very good evening to you. I hope you've had a lovely Tuesday, despite the fact that the cloud is still having a right old party out there. Still plenty around tomorrow, the odd light shower where it's thick enough again, and we've still got that cooling northerly breeze outside. What's going on? Well, still this settled weather, cloudy but settled weather with high pressure in place. But as we get to Friday, it starts to edge away and we'll see the return of some slightly more unsettled conditions as we head through to the second part of the weekend. So do keep an eye on the forecast for any timings of that. Now outside tonight, that cloud thickening up, and where it's thick enough, we could again see a few spots of rain. Those temperatures just about keeping up, though, into the single figures. Might be a little touch cooler out in the countryside. And then tomorrow, for the first day of meteorological autumn, we do it all again. Plenty of cloud dominating those skies. A few bits and pieces of rain, light showers possibly. Many areas staying dry, though. And you can see a few breaks in the clouds if we're lucky, but don't get too excited. The temperature's still quite cool with that northerly breeze. High teens 20 if we're lucky. Now, we might see a touch more brightness on Thursday and Friday. Things look like they'll probably cloud over on Saturday, and the potential for some showers on Sunday. As I said, keep an eye on the forecast. I'll see you later on. Good night and sleep well.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Well, that's the way it's looking in London tonight. We're back tomorrow morning in Good Morning Britain with updates from 6 o'clock. Until then, have a good evening. Bye-bye.